Hi, good afternoon. It's Buck at SoCal Motorcycle Services. This is my shop right here. Um, and if you know anything about me, you'll know that the only thing I love more than motorcycles are BMW cars. I've had several. Uh, Bought my daughter one to use for college. Just fantastic cars. Problem is, they do tend to have some oil leaks. Sometimes they have some oil leaks. I have a 2006 BMW 525i. Has the N53 motor. It's an inline 6, 3-liter motor, naturally aspirated. Fantastic motor. Powerful, very economical. Love it. Lots of torque. Very smooth. The problem is, like I said, all BMWs experience oil leaks. The main oil leaks that you will encounter are the oil cooler gasket, which is in between the oil cooler and the oil filter housing, and the oil filter housing gasket, which is between the oil filter housing and the engine. Today, I'm going to replace the oil cooler gasket because it's the one that's leaking. I'll eventually replace the oil housing, the oil filter housing gasket, but it takes a little bit longer, and I just want to replace this gasket today. Relatively simple to fix. Cheap. The gasket I got from Molly, it was $10. Came with, so make sure you use a good quality gasket because they leak. And when I say it may leak, I mean they are absolutely going to leak. And I found that it's not due to miles that your engine has, it's age. My 2006 only has about 120,000 miles on it, but the gasket went already. It's the age. So if your car is getting older, I'll show you where to look for someone's working in the shop next door with a big hammer. Sorry. So I'll show you where these gaskets are and how to replace them. So stay tuned. I'll go over to the car and let's get going. Talk to you soon. Okay, welcome back. Here's my 2006 BMW 525i. It's been a great car. I've had it for several years and absolutely love it. Handling is fantastic. It has a handling package in it. And it has, like I said, it has the inline 6 3-liter motor. Let's look under the hood and I'll show you the problems, the oil leak we're looking at. So if you open up the hood, right here is the oil cooler. Here is the oil filter housing. So what you do is, BMW loves their covers. So you just pull off this cover. It's held on by these 3 ball attachments, which are actually the screws to take it out. This is the oil cooler. The gasket we're going to do today is right in here. And then this is the oil filter housing. The gasket is in there. As you can see, we got all kinds of oil leaks right here. Right here it drips onto the alternator. Also leaks a little bit of coolant because coolant runs through here with oil in separate compartments. Coolant goes around the filter to cool the oil, which is always boggles my mind that hot coolant is still cooler than hot oil. And you're using hot coolant to cool down the oil. But I guess the engine oil gets pretty hot, especially if you're working hard. And if you have a BMW, you tend to work it pretty hard. So let me put the camera down and get to a spot where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you're going to spill some coolant, but since it's on the top of the motor, you're not going to spill that much. So you're going to have to refill the coolant and then go through the bleeding procedure, or else you'll cause some problems. The bleeding procedure is in depth, but there are several videos on it. Okay, what you're going to need to do is take off these 3 bolts. You can't see this one. And what you need to use is an E12 socket, which is basically an inverted Torx. BMW uses a few of these E sockets, so I would, if you have a BMW, you need to get an E12 and an E10 at minimum. And it's a good fastener system. I believe they created them because robots like to use them. So what we're going to do is loosen these. And I'm using a swivel extension just because I need a little bit of an extension, but my extensions are too long. So I'm basically using it as an extension. And if you're a mechanic, you know how to use your fingers as eyes because you don't have to look. Okay. So that one is loose. This is the hard one. I like to do the hard ones first. Really tight to get your hand in there. Now I have a pan under a catch pan to catch any spilled coolant and oil. Yeah, this one is tricky to get out. Okay, here it is. See what I mean by the E12? It fits perfectly into the E12 socket. You can imagine that. You can tell under this cooler, this cover, where the oil was leaking. So put that where we don't lose it. Take off these other 2. They're the same length, so you don't have to worry about the order. And then we got this last one here. confirm they're all the same lengths. And here's where we're gonna, yeah, that's obviously leaking. And since it's crusty, it's not from what I just did there. Hopefully you can see. You see, there's the gasket. That's bad. And it's a pretty complicated looking gasket. Here's the new one. And you can obviously tell if you look right there how it's all mashed and melted and flat. That's not sealing anything. So I'm going to clean up these gaskets, and let me remove it while you guys are watching. I have a little screwdriver. We'll back it out a little bit, and without nicking anything, you got to just pry it out. Just be very careful that you don't hurt the housing. Obviously, this one was leaking. It's done. It's all cooked. And it's all cooked flat, especially right in here. It's so cooked it doesn't want to come out. But it's coming. And that had to be where it was leaking. It's just so flat and gross. Probably looking at my shoulder. Sorry if I'm interrupting your view. Oh, it's in there. I've done these before, not on this car. But yeah, this is like the baddest one that I've gotten out. Ah, there we go. We just pull it out. See how melted it is there, and how it's just it was flat, so it wasn't sealing anything. So we're going to toss that one. And you want to make sure that the backing plate doesn't have anything on the oil cooler itself, which is flat. It doesn't have anything on it. So I use just a very non-abrasive Scotch-Brite to clean it off and make it completely flat. Yeah, there's melted gasket on it. And I'm going to take some brake cleaner and clean it off to make sure it's sealed again. So we're doing this for what, like $10 and $20 for the coolant that I'm going to replace. BMW, they'll be nice and they'll change this gasket and then this gasket, and they'll charge you minimum $1,000. That's absurd. So if you have an oil leak right here, order some gaskets. I like to use rockauto.com, and you can get things much cheaper. Or you can go to BMW and buy the parts, but they're going to use what you can get from Rock Auto. Molly's a great brand. So I'm going to clean this up really nice, and I will come back in a minute and show you how I put the gasket in. Okay, we're back, and I pretty much cleaned it up. Now we're going to take the new gasket. The new gasket, super thick. It only goes on one way. We're going to put it in the housing. There's a pretty deep groove. When you buy good parts like Molly, it fits perfectly. Make sure it's completely seated. Wow, can you see how much farther it's sticking out and how it's not all flattened and gross? Let me see what if you look, you see how it sticks out instead of being all flat and gross? The stock one is all mushroomed out, compromised right there. Just half the thickness. This one, it's sticking out. Look at right there. See how farther this one sticks out? That's actually going to seal something, and that's pressed all the way in. Then replacement is the opposite of removal. course, whenever you're putting bolts back, please start them with your fingers and not with a wrench, and please don't use air tools on these. The torques are not very tight at all. This, I believe, I'll look it up before I torque it down, is these are 16 Newton meters. And I like to use Newton meters with European engines. This is going to be the difficult one because it was hard to get out. It's going to be hard to get back in. And use those mechanic's eyes again. It's absolutely blind in here. Well, you'll get the point. I'll come back when I finish up, but I don't want you to see me struggle with this and maybe even drop the bolt and then say curse words. And let me have a few minutes. I'll come right back. Okay, it's all put back on. You'll be surprised to know that I did not drop the bolt. I got it in just fine. And we're all set. I cleaned everything up. I'm going to put back a pretty little decorative cover. It just snaps on to the bolts we just took off. And I torqued them down to 16 Newton meters. And what we're going to do, what you want to do now is replace the coolant. Then check. Make sure you bleed the system. Go through the bleeding procedure on how to bleed the cooling system. And then I'm going to change the oil just because some coolant and oil might have mixed together. And that's why I waited till now to do it, is because I need an oil change anyway. So good luck with it. When you have this oil leak, just fix it yourself and don't go to BMW for it. It's very simple. If you don't have the right sockets, you can get both of them on Amazon for like 10 bucks. Don't try to use, some people say you can use different size metrics, like an 8mm and a 10mm. Get the right tools for the job. And like I said, you'll use them again. So that's it. That's how we replace the oil cooler gasket. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.